Aquaman's cousin has a new movie by Disney, and it's called Luca. Here we go. Hey everyone, welcome back to AsArt with Nick, John, and our expert Kyle. Some of us might think this is one of our favorite Pixar movies in a long time. Some of us might not.
Controversial? Maybe. No.
By the way, guys, I did a quick little video essay talking about how this really reminded me of a Miyazaki kind of feel when it comes to 3D and how it blew away the stupid Earwig and the Witch movie that Studio Ghibli put out. It's a great little video. Check it out if you want more Luca content. But now, let's dive into it. Quite literally, we're going to dive into it just like Luca and Alberto did. Okay, I just first off have to say I loved how it was such a small contained story. It wasn't like The Incredibles having to save the city or, or just like a big thing where it's like a huge race. I mean, it was just a tiny race for the Porco Rosso Cup. Porco Rosso, if you watch my video, that's a hint to a Miyazaki film. But anyways, it's just such a fun story and it looked incredible.
Yeah, if there's one thing you can definitely say, whether these Pixar and Disney movies have been your favorite or not, is they've definitely continually upped the technical fidelity of things. It's just beautiful stuff for sure.
Yeah, it has that quality of like summers from your childhood, right? Especially when Luca's looking up at the sky and like the trees for the first time and seeing the surface world. I love that John's yawning. Like it's like
You're
like I'm like going into this thing like
so
and John's just like I know, and
Moist.
and just it has that quality of just those summers of childhood's past and really capturing the vividness of it. That was like a really like touching moment actually.
Some of the favorite things I really liked about it is, like you said, it's a much more, this is not an epic scale world story. It's more of like, this is local folklore. It has that kind of feeling, or it's and then, it just makes for a more intimate story. And you know what? I mean, I think the theme for things in the last number of years has been bigger and badder and higher stakes and things like that. And it's nice to kind of reel it in a little bit for this, which has been really fun for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, everything kind of takes place in like a 5 square mile radius. Yeah. Right.
That's true. And can we just talk about the character designs for a second? I was in love with the character designs. Yeah. And just the way the animation was utilized with the character design and stuff like that was just amazing. Like, even when they were like learning, when Luca was learning how to walk and Alberto was like showing him put his foot out, and like, but like the extreme poses and stuff, and even when he's first walking into the city, Alberto has such a strut. About him. Like he knows what's going on. He thinks the stars are fish, and he's just like walking into town like some expert. I just like loved all the poses and stuff, and it was just so good. The only thing that I thought was lacking was the villain.
I have to agree with you on that.
The villain was, I think, the weakest point.
I mean, I guess it's appropriate that he's a similar age as them or a little bit older, right? But like, I mean, the stakes weren't that. Then again, I mean, like we were saying, this is a more like local, like sort of like smaller, intimate story. Perhaps like that's one of the things we should expect with this is just that the villains are more domestic, right?
That's how everyone is on the island.
It had a little bit of a feel on a much kind of lesser degree. Like Beauty and the Beast is just that little town. Gaston, not an intimidating guy, but he definitely had more of a threat to him than the young 16-year-old guy here or whatever. That's true. And then it also had a little feel of Little Mermaid. I swear, I usually would say I hate songs, but after he first went back and he's like, oh, it was such a good time. And he's in his little bed in the ocean. I'm like, here comes, Under the Sea. Here it goes. Here's our song. And then no songs. I'm like, oh, no songs. It was kind of made me chuckle. Yeah.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the music in this. I liked it. I just thought it was like perfect. Like,
I also loved it when the characters ate. Like when they're like, and it's so like quintessential to the style they were going for, right? So like their mouth like kind of goes off to the side of their face and goes like, like that. That was so cool. Like I don't know, there was a
lot of consuming of spaghetti.
Oh my god, just pasta in general.
And you know what? I think the answer is no, but for these movies, do they redo the lip syncing for different localizations, or Because I know, like, in certain movies, if you buy a Pixar movie, like, say, Up, if you bought Up, the pages in the book that they have, they would do different renders of the pages for different localizations. So you have really French cool. or Italian and things like that. But it would just be for the pages. I don't know if they actually ever do for any localizations. They would do, like, different lip syncing. I'm just curious. I wasn't sure. Do you guys know that?
Oh.
Well, I know it wasn't made for theaters.
Oh, that's
this movie.
True.
It was straight to Disney Plus. So I don't know if they would have put in the extra effort, maybe just for like a streaming service video.
Yeah,
and I'm actually really bummed. It was straight to. I mean, this would have been an awesome movie to watch in theaters. I feel like.
Yeah, it would have
seen the colors and just. I mean, gosh, man! Like even just like the redness on the cheeks, and like I love how everything was so soft. There was like no hard edges, like even with the render, and it just looked so freaking good. Like the sky, and like even at night when they're looking at the stars, like the purple to like the dark blue, there wasn't even like black, but the colors and then the color coming off the fire. I was just like, oh my gosh!
Like there were characters in there like where it almost seemed like claymation, but it was like 3. So especially with the dad, right? Especially when they're on the boat. Yeah. So like, first off, just the character design of the dad is awesome. He's awesome. He's a strong guy, but he's a gentle father, right? Like it's really cool. And then like when he's on the boat, for some reason I just noticed it more. His pants, I could really see the texture in his pants. Like they looked like something like how you would dress like a claymation character, right? Like the different textures you notice. And I was like, man, like that guy looks really good. Like I don't know.
So the animators studied early Miyazaki films for posing and stuff, and Nick Park films, all the stop motion stuff.
Like they did, or that's your theory?
No, they did. I watched an interview of the director. Like they all sat down together and they watched these old shows and movies and stuff. So they were all kind of on the same page for like the style of animation he was going for. It did have a very Wallace and Gromit kind of feel. Like with the movement and the walking and stuff like that too, and it was just like it like their whole thing was they wanted to go for like a limited and animation kind of style.
Yeah.
So like stop motion with the key poses and like only so many frames for the early anime stuff for Miyazaki. Because I think they were animating like on 12s. Like when they were animating, or maybe even 6s sometimes. With anime to save on cells and stuff like that. So they had to be very creative with the posing and stuff like that. So it was really cool to see that come across. It looks so good. I love the animation in this so much.
Yeah, I mean it's funny. You think of technology, you think of smoother and more fluid, but I really like like Kyle was saying, the more kind of almost stop motion-y look, especially the father with his thick eyebrows and limited movement, and it did feel more like stop motion, and maybe that's just nostalgia for us a little bit too, because we kind of got that growing up a little bit. But overall, I just thought that was a super fun thing. I mean, that's one of the things I loved about the Peanuts movie when that came out with Blue Sky, is it had that kind of stop motion feel to it, or at least the very animated, kind of blocky movements. And I'm curious if that's going to be, if this is well received, if they're going to do more things like that, or this is just a one-off thing the director wanted to do that. I'd love to get more. Like Corpse Bride wasn't stop motion, I don't think. I think that was rendered to look like stop motion. And then was it Box Trolls was maybe my most favorite recent example. It had a that was stop motion. They just 3D printed the parts. So, but I love the look of that movie. That's one of the most beautiful movies I've seen in recent years, and that was stop motion. So
that was Leica. Leica for sure puts out amazing stop motion.
Yes, yeah.
I think now that Pixar has done one of these much more stylized animations, like, because like, I mean, let's be honest, like I think like in like the early aughts and like early 2000s, we had a lot of homogeneity, right, of like 3D animation, right? Like everything was sort of aspiring towards a sort of like, smooth sort of style, right? And now we're starting to see this renaissance again of this diversity of like visuals, right? And just like
true.
How you can tell a story through even like these limitations, right? Because like some of these limitations these studios have just created for themselves to, like, because sometimes through limitation comes out greater creativity, right? Because you're forced to sort of like work around that and come up with solutions, right? So
it's
yeah,
like the old school like VFX stop motion people, like Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like they didn't have CCG. They had to figure out cameras that can move with the ships and on the backgrounds and the parallax and all that stuff. We're kind of seeing that, but now it's just like now that the technology's there. Like technology's there for 3D animators. Like if they want to make it look like 2D, they have an option for 2D. They have hybrids and like look at Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Like that's just like a perfect example of like comic booky into 3D. And then we have the Snoopy movie, and now we have this beautiful like it feels like if Miyazaki's characters were like popped out to 3D almost. You know what I mean?
And it's cool in regards to Pixar and Disney. Well, Pixar especially, you always thought of them as the ones that always had to push the technology. They were the ones shooting for more photorealism. I guess Island, when they did Rango, really pushed for photoreal. But with Pixar, they were always the ones kind of leading the way in the technology. And Nick's right, and you're seeing this kind of in games too. For the longest time, CG movies and 3D games were trying to push for real. And now you're seeing, like Kyle was saying, you're seeing a lot of more stylized, even like old pixelated Super Nintendo or Genesis type graphics for games. And now you're getting more towards stop motion in the films. And I really like that, because my favorite type of artwork is always stylized, mimicking real life, but still very much in the direction of stylized. And if I think of films, stop motion definitely goes in that direction for me, and it feels like we're going a little bit more towards that, which is fun.
Yeah. So kind of diverging from the style and visuals and stuff was the storylines. So one thing I thought they did a really great job of is diverging and converging storylines from multiple characters, right? So let's just take the three main characters with Luca, Alberto, and Giulietta, is like they all have their own like aspirations and hopes and dreams and like struggles, right? But they all converge at the end, right, in unison, right? And that's insanely hard to pull off, right? I mean, like I've seen plenty of animations where they tried for that and failed. Right. And this like worked out so well. Like, I mean, you have Luca with like his desire to see the surface world. Right. You have Alberto with him like trying to make it in the world without his dad and being abandoned by his father. Right. And eventually finding a new family. Right. Yeah. And then you have Giulietta, who is this outcast loner kind of. Right. And has dreams of winning the race, right? Yeah. And you think all these disparate storylines couldn't match up, but they find certain devices to do that very well.
Yeah. I mean, they're just all looking for a place to belong.
That's true. You know what, Nick? I think I said it in too many words.
No, it's true.
You said it perfectly.
At like the core, right? And then they realize that they all belong together as the underdogs.
Yeah, that's so poetic, Nick. Dang, I wish I.
I only got there because of you, buddy.
Okay, well, thank you. All right.
And I feel like they cover a lot in a pretty short amount. I feel like a lot of time. I don't know how long a period of time this was supposed to, because they're training for the race, so it wasn't that long time. But it felt like a lot of, because of all the different threads they weave together, like Kyle was saying, because he starts off, he doesn't really, have a friend in the surface world, and he meets his friend. And then you see them having a very strong relationship, and then you see their friendship grow apart, like a lot of us do as we're growing up. And then you see, how do you react to that? And how, if you want to keep that friendship alive, how do you adapt to that? And it was neat, because you saw that going like, here's my interests, here's how my interests have changed and waned over time, and then here's how you still interact and bring it back together. It was a really neat story in that regard. And there was a lot, like Kyle was saying, there's a lot of threads that they weaved in there, and you didn't see the parents for a long time, but they weaved that back in. You didn't see some of the main characters for a long time, then they weaved back in. It was really well done.
That scene, John, that was incredible, when he like denied his friend and he was like, sea monster. I was like, oh, how do you do that to Alberto, man?
Yeah.
And then like the face and the reaction from Alberto too. I was just like, dang, that's so intense and deep for a kid's film, to like But so true though, right? Like you've seen that before on like playgrounds and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Like you're friends with someone, but when they're with a certain group or they want to be accepted by a certain group of people, they'll act like totally. It's it's just like, oh, it's so like true and real and hits the core. It's so
my
bad.
memories,
like,
my memories of me and Michael Grinberg at the Sandbox in kindergarten, man.
I hope he's not subscribed.
If you are, leave your comment down in the comments.
Yeah. And it was so intense. Like they did such a good job with that, and we really haven't said spoilers yet, though, right? Like, did we spoil anything? We haven't spoiled anything.
Oh my gosh, I don't think we have.
When he said
like,
sea
nothing
monster,
is integral
I don't
to the
know.
plot. I don't think.
But yeah, nothing
except maybe the betrayal you just talked about. But that's about it. That's like a minor plot point.
Spoilers. But yeah, but the emotion pulled off with that and like the ending. It was so. I thought it paid off well. Like I thought it was a good payoff because it doesn't always have to be like Frozen, where like her true love's her sister. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like so epic, and like it could also just be something as small as that too. And it was just like so small and strong, the emotions that were pulled across.
Sometimes all you need is just to be ostracized from a small community. That's just to feel, just to pluck the heartstrings,
I'm just glad they kept it simple in that regard, and the story really is about friendships, how those are affected with stresses over time, and then also some of my favorite sequences in the movie are his dream sequences, and just what is your perception of the world versus the actual reality of it. I mean, that Vespa was the have all end all, and then they actually see the Vespa. I mean,
the Vespa.
The one friend still clings to that. He's like, yes, best thing ever. It's like, but at the same time, it's like, okay, this is what you think it's going to be like, and this is what it's actually like, and then you actually find what you really value, and it's kind of a really neat thing. They did a lot of deep things, and you think of a movie as a long time, but for all the things they covered, they did it pretty darn efficiently.
And it wasn't that long of a movie too. It felt pretty short to me.
How long was it? Do you remember?
I think it's an hour and 50, or no?
I don't think it's that long.
No? Okay.
Because hour and 50 is decent. Huh. Okay, yeah.
But I guess one of my favorite things they didn't, like you guys are saying, they didn't beat you over the head with some overall theme. It was just more friendship on a very small scale. And then I think it actually works to this movie's advantage. Like you were saying, that the villain wasn't really a villain. The real villain was what are people going to think when they actually find out what I'm really like. That was the real kind of villain in the movie. And that was the big payoff. It's like, okay, you have people
for acceptance.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, everyone was looking for acceptance in that town, right? Like even like who they admired because they wanted to be accepted. It was just all this a very acceptance kind of thing.
Yeah, that really makes sense, because now that I think about it, the main villain seemed almost like the most caricature-ish of everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think he was the only Italian actor casted.
Are you serious?
Everyone else was American.
I like the whole catfish joke. That's my favorite. It's like, oh, it looks like a cat. Then he explains it, and they're like, oh, yeah.
But I believe the director's Italian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was for sure. When his directors, I actually said it in my horrible Italian accent. It was like, oh, this is the director. I said it that way. I'm like, oh, he's totally Italian for sure.
His name was Enrico Casarosa.
Enrico Casarosa.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, Enrico, what are you doing, eh? No. Sorry.
Was there anything that stood out to you guys, like your favorite shot, or just like your favorite scene, or just color? Or
so
just,
I have a
moment?
favorite character acting moment.
Yes.
And it's so just like, I don't know. Okay, like Julietta's character. I forget which scene it is, but she does this excited squeal.
It might have been when they decided to join her team, maybe.
That might be, but she's just like this, and like it was so adorable. I think I paused. I was just like, all right, I gotta. Whew, that was too cute, right? Like just like. I'm like, oh man, and like typically acting, like character acting for an animation doesn't do that to me, but this did it, right? Like the voice actors that was doing that, and also just the character movements, right, were just mwah.
And for me, I think it was probably the dream sequences, like I already kind of talked about. Just they go in and out of them so smoothly, and you can kind of tell that he's in a dream, but it totally looks like regular rest of the movie. And as far as portrayal, it's like, oh yeah, I'm just flying over the ocean on our Vespa like it's a magic carpet. I was like, oh, that's so funny. It's just fun stuff.
It's the montage of them building the Vespas, right? And like testing them.
It was a great
that is like half of my childhood summers is just like building weird crap, hoping it works, right? And then like just having fun, like so much fun in the process.
And I would have to say, I act exactly like Luca.
Really?
I should be going, and like 20 minutes later, it's like, maybe I shouldn't. And then I'm still there. Like, and Kyle, even John knows. Like, I'll be on the phone with them, and I'll be like saying goodbye to them. And then like 20 minutes later, I'll be like, oh yeah, no, dude, maybe we should hang up. And then like 40 minutes later, I'll be like, maybe I should go now. And then like Kyle, John, you guys could both attest to this. I'm that type of person where I'll go over to like help John with the laser cutter when he lived close by. I'll go. I'll tell him I'll be there for 20 minutes. I'll go. Then like something happens. I'll be like, John, do you want to go get sushi? And we'll go get sushi. Sit down. We'll come back. We talk and I'm like, oh my god, it's 4 a.m. I should probably get home.
Ladies and gentlemen, to Nick, time really is relative. You know. Like,
yes, exactly. Yeah.
I care more about experiences.
Yes, that's a good thing. I think.
I really did like when they first met the father, though. He looks like a schnauzer to me. It's just eyebrows. You don't see the eyes, and like this power, up angle, and you just see him, and you know he's gonna end up being a softie because that's just how movies like that go. But his depiction, I just thought it. I think it's probably like Kyle was saying, just the stop motion-y look to him, but also just like those eyebrows and not seeing anything. I think that was hilarious.
I think my favorite sequences were all the night sequences. I was just like digging the silhouettes and like the warmth of lights that were coming from buildings, and when they were climbing on top of the rooftops, like I think all the night sequences were probably like my favorite. Like I was just like digging, like that one shot, it's so iconic when they're like jumping on the roofs and the moon's right behind them and you just see their like silhouette. And then the framing they had when they were looking at the stars through the telescope, how it was like off the building. I was just digging that frame. I'm like, man, that camera, the camera guys, whoever did the previs and set up the camera stuff. It looked so good. Like there were so many good camera, like the wide shots, like when they're on the boat fishing for the first time. You get like that wide pulled back shot of like the vast ocean and a little island in the background and this tiny little boat in the center. I was just like, oh, there's so many beautiful shots. And it reminded me of an illustrated book.
Yes.
Like there was a lot of, even when they were building their Vespas, there was just scenes where like, if you would have paused it and put that in a book, like that would have been a book.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. This is more storybookish than most of the other Pixar Disney stuff.
I mean, yeah, when you take a look at the credits and you have the drawn images, those are like, I want to buy that book, whenever it comes out, because that looks great, like great art.
I thought John was going to say that his favorite character was the uncle.
The anglerfish uncle guy, Luca.
Oh, yeah, like the creepy one.
Yeah, he was really fun. He's all my see-through uncle.
And it turns out Nick was telling me that I totally missed the end with him underwater. Apparently, like at the end after the credits.
Yeah, so after the credits, when you see all the artwork, you see him in the deep, and he's just like, "I love to have my thoughts," and like he eats like a whale carcass, and he's just like down there. He's like, "I just get stuck in my thoughts." He's just like in the dark. God. It's so good.
He was fun.
So this is sort of like a half-formed thought, because I didn't get to develop
our favorite. But... Those are our favorite. Huh,
okay, well,
Kyle's corner.
I really paid attention to the grandma, Luca's grandma.
Mm-hmm.
So she kind of has this air of like the wise elderly person, right, who has experience and realizes that like there aren't any real boundaries except the ones we make for ourselves, right? Like she's lived life, because she's like, oh, I usually go up there on the weekends anyway, right? Whereas Luca's mom is just like, you can never go up to the surface, right? It's dangerous, and like his grandma totally supports Luca being curious and going up there, right? Because she herself partakes in the pleasures of the surface world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, which I kind of like went like I like gasped, because at the end you notice the old ladies that have periodically been around town, they reveal themselves to actually be fish people too, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're like, oh, snap. So I don't know. I think there's something to be said about the elderly and them living a life's experience. And just being like, you know what, all these rules and like faux pas that we, attribute to ourselves. Like, they don't really, we can really just, they don't matter.
It's true. I was looking for her when I was going through the footage and stuff for getting clips. I was trying to spot her in the background.
Oh,
like
really?
The grandma was like still watching over Luca during this whole thing, because no one knows what they look like when they exit out of the water, right?
Right.
Like even the parents, when they got out, they were like, "Oh, human!" They're like fighting each other or whatever, and and they obviously didn't even know what their son looked like. They were like kicking every kid in the water and splashing water on them, kind of thing. So like, I was just like, I wonder if the grandma was there. And I was like, I just didn't spend enough time, but it would be so cool if she was there for a couple shots, like in the background.
That would be cool. I also have a question. Maybe you guys can help me with this. So the fish that Luca is a shepherd for, that he herds.
The sheep fish.
Yeah. So do they eat those fish, or do they milk them? What's the shtick?
Well, I think they do eat them, because they didn't have a problem at all showing the guy where to fish. They were like, "Oh yeah, they're over there." They caught tons of fish, and they were probably eating fish because the dad was cutting up fish, and they must have put the fish in the pasta.
Okay,
I'm guessing.
that makes
sense. They must. I mean, they have to eat fish. I doubt if all they did was eat sea grass.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't even know what grows in the ocean around.
They were also like, I think they were also preparing like a lobster or shrimp or some sort of crustacean.
Did they say something about cucumbers?
Maybe.
I think the grandma was like, "Oh, he was looking for some cucumbers from me or something like that." But yeah, no, they have to eat fish, I feel like.
Okay.
Because they're like, I feel like fish in this world didn't talk like the Nemo fish, so it's not the same universe. But it might be, but it's not.
It might be, but no, not really.
That's us discussing Luca. Woohoo! We did it. We finished the movie. We watched it. We committed to it, and it was wonderful. I think it was life-changing for Kyle. And I just wanted to also let you guys know, we did a video when the trailer came out, and we were talking about the art style. Do you guys remember doing that video?
I remember.
And it was so much fun.
And
we were getting so excited about it. We're like, oh, we can't believe this is all happening, blah, blah, blah. And then I recently just posted a video of discussing how I think it's the most Miyazaki 3D movie we have out there to date, kind of thing. Because the one Studio Ghibli put out was terrible. But if you want to watch it and watch cringe, go for it. Enjoy it.
And so I just wanted to ask, so at this point in time, we've had a number of Disney Plus premium movies you had to pay to buy. So we had the Raya. So we had Raya. You had the Mulan movie, the live action
like
one.
Cruella.
And the Cruella. So do you think
Black Widow.
They had always planned for this to not be a paid release on Disney Plus, or do you think they decided based on how the other ones did that they weren't going to do that?
I wonder if this was their tester to do it without.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see what the numbers were.
Yeah, that's a good.
Which was so funny because I think I enjoyed it more than Raya.
No, I did for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, John, I thought that was a good point though.
Yeah, I was when I popped on it, I was definitely enjoying it way more than Raya. I'm like, this is interesting that this is free and that was not. I'm like, huh.
And you know what's interesting too? Like when I was looking for behind the scenes stuff for this, like I couldn't find like them working from home kind of videos and footage like I did for Raya. I know like when they were promoting Raya, it was a lot of like, oh, we worked from home. We even had the actors re-record audio in their closets with the mic. You know, it was like this whole thing like working from home and safety and stuff. And I couldn't find anything like that for Luca. But then again, I don't think they even advertised it as much as the other movies too. Which is a bummer because I feel like, you know, I don't know what it is with sequels and, you know, stuff like that where they obviously, I mean, there's a reason why they redo sequels and, you know, brands because they do sell more tickets. But the way you create a brand is by making something new, baby. Come on.
That's true.
You got to make something new and make something excited about. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
True.
You got to come up with something new and people will get excited and want more of it. So,
all right, guys. So let us know down below what you thought about the movie. I think all around we really enjoyed it. I personally enjoyed it way more than I thought I was going to. Let us know if you have information on why you think this was a free Disney Plus movie versus a premium. And let us know what you thought about it. Did you really appreciate it on a technical point, or did you appreciate it on a more localized story point? We'd love to hear that. Check out all the different content we have in here. We have different deepfakes. We have visual effects reviews, visual effects breakdowns, all kinds of stuff. Check out Picos with the Zero for Kyle's Instagram, all the awesome projects he's working on, science fiction novel, all kinds of cool stuff. Check out AsArt.space for the audio and video links, and we'll see you on the next AsArt.